Glenwood, a town where the past refused to stay buried. Haunted by a string of gruesome murders, I was forced to confront the ghosts of my own past, uncovering a sinister secret that had been lurking beneath the surface of our seemingly idyllic childhood. Welcome to AI Horror Stories. Prepare to be chilled. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell for daily doses of AI-generated fright. Glenwood was a small town with homes lining the streets and a lake at its center. I found a job at a cafe inside It's a bookstore, thanks to a friend. Walking to work was a welcome change from my city life. Missy Barons, a longtime friend, managed the store and offered me a management position, but I wasn't ready for that responsibility yet. We go back to 3rd grade, where she called me the Fart King, and I once played a prank on her with a frog in her lunch. Missy loved horror novels, especially Stephen King, and her appearance reminded me of a cartoon character. The bookstore belonged to her grandmother before her, and they had added a cafe to it. After work one day, we ran into Ty and Benji at the mall, friends from high school. I was surprised to see Benji back, as I thought he had moved to Chicago. He was now a gym teacher, fit and strong from summers in Japan. I, on the other hand, was gaining weight and feeling self-conscious. Ty owned a shop called Tropical Subject, specializing in clothing and skate gear, and he had become quite skilled at board repairs. Seeing them stirred up happy memories, despite years apart. Eden and Zoe were not there. They had moved to Cherry Grove together after high school. Ty kept us updated about them, and we arranged to meet. Although I felt joy at seeing everyone, I was reminded that we had drifted apart for a reason. Eden had become a pediatrician, while Zoe, a graphic designer, still dressed in casual t-shirts. Their affection for one another was obvious. Then Benji asked if I still believed in ghosts, prompting fears from our reckless youth to resurface. Missy had mentioned that her store felt haunted by her grandmother's spirit. This idea unsettled me as memories flooded back, and I questioned whether those events were real or merely buried memories. Ty's voice snapped me back, asking if I was okay. The group felt connected again, yet I couldn't shake a sense of unease as we began to share laughter and reminiscences. I imagined a dream where we were children again on an adventure to confront our fears. In this dream, we were united by our friendship, even as something dark lingered just out of sight. I felt watched, paralyzed by a sense of dread until Ty's reassuring presence brought me back. We ventured deeper into a dark forest, where we stumbled upon an old well and tossed in various items, signifying our collective past. When the dream ended, I awoke in a sweat, haunted by a strange figure lurking in my room. It was a lingering memory, Renee, a former friend, who distanced herself from our group after high school and had an unsettling connection to her abusive boyfriend. I had learned disturbing news that Renee had been discovered mutilated, potentially at the hands of a dog or coyote. I felt trapped in this grim reality and unwilling to share my nightmare. Gathered at the mall's food court that night, we tried to process the updates surrounding Renee's death. Ty shared fond memories of how she enjoyed cheese fries. The mood was heavy and nostalgic, memories swirling like dust in the air. Being together felt both comforting and strange, as if we shouldn't be reuniting under such dire circumstances. The dreams continued, deeper and darker. I found myself in an abandoned house with my friends, but fear consumed me. Something sinister lurked in the shadows, evoking both dread and the urge to confront it. The creature represented forgotten pain, and we sensed we were being watched. Haunted by these feelings, we were determined to face our fears together. As the dreams intensified, so did the darkness. We encountered chilling visions that tested our bonds, revealing the reality of our connections and fears, culminating in a chaotic race from the horror that surrounded us. When I awoke, I knew our past and present choices intertwined through grief and hope, reminding us of resilience in the face of loss. In the aftermath, despite sorrow, we remembered the strength of friendship and support, hinting at brighter days. I quickly ate some Apple Jacks and hurried out the door. The cool air had a sweet scent. Ty's car, a 1967 Chevy Impala, was his since prom night. It used to belong to his dad and was a striking blue. We stopped by our old high school to have a laugh. No classes were happening, so we parked and shared memories. When it was time to drop off Benji for tutoring, Ty joked that his car wouldn't start. We laughed, but I felt he was trying to hold on to our friendship. He missed our group and the fun we had. After Benji left, Ty and I went to where the old arcade used to be, now a salon. We walked around and saw how much had changed. We decided to go for lunch at the old Meet Me shacks where we used to hang out. Behind those shacks was a small pond and a bridge among the trees. We talked about our past and shared stories. I discussed life in the city, while Ty remembered old friends. We recalled how people thought Eden and Terrence would date just because they both were black. We faced struggles, especially with small-town racism. I remembered when seniors vandalized my locker, and Ty helped clean up when it happened to him next. That experience connected us. I regretted drifting apart, even though Ty tried to connect with me. I had been caught up in my life with Elliot Monroe, thinking he was the one. Ty's letter ended up at my parents' house, stirring old feelings. I had known Ty forever, and I realized my connection with him was deeper than I felt for Benji or Missy. Being gay in a small town was tough, with bullying and fear. My friends were my support until we lost touch. I still had feelings for Ty but worried about our friendship. With my relationship with Elliot growing serious, I hesitated to reach out to Ty. When Ty looked at me, I struggled to speak. His smile made it hard to ignore my feelings. Sitting together in the woods, it felt like our old connection. Ty missed these moments, and I remembered our childhood adventures. His warmth made me nervous, but when he joked about Benji, I felt at home. I wanted to stay with him, but doubts began to creep in. I sensed something dark lurking around us as we hurried to get Benji. I continued to have nightmarish dreams tied to our past, particularly about Zoe's death, which triggered fears throughout our community. When rumors of a serial killer spread, our friend group was caught in the unsettling atmosphere. The fear of death loomed large, stemming from losses and darker thoughts, leading us to confront our own safety and realities. Reflecting on our past, I remember all the moments we shared. Photos remind me of memories that others may not understand. Our bond went deeper than any picture could convey. Zoe's laughter would often comfort me, especially when I was scared. She loved to tease me, and sometimes Eden would tell her to be kinder. Zoe didn't believe in spirits, but as we matured, we talked about serious subjects like death. Zoe was convinced that death was final. Renee shared similar views but lacked Zoe's strength. Eden was more uncertain about what happens after death. Missy and Ty were often indecisive. Missy mentioned heaven and hell but questioned the idea of an afterlife, while Ty and Benji were eager to find evidence of ghosts. Benji wanted to prove that spirits did not exist, so we explored abandoned places looking for answers to life's big questions. That night during our junior year marked the beginning of our separation. I felt it first and recalled a photo from that year taken right before a significant dare. It showed me the truth. My friends never really believed me. I had reminders of our strong bond, but it was better left in the past. Visiting Zoe's old room with Ty and Missy, I saw Benji there with a yearbook. Zoe's makeup was scattered, hinting at her recent presence. I discovered a forgotten stone, a gravestone we had found in the graveyard. Benji laughed, shocked that Zoe had taken it. We found 10 stones, remnants of our childhood adventures, but they seemed like remnants of a mystery we weren't ready to face. Leaving the house, I felt heavy with unspoken emotions. Outside, I confided in Ty about the ghosts I sensed. Together, we planned to return to the graveyard and confront our fears. I soon realized my fears were tied to missed moments and feelings of love. The next day would be important. Ty and Benji arrived early, and we headed to Elk Park Cemetery, where we discussed Zoe's recent breakup with Eden. Approaching the cemetery, I felt a strange warmth of protection. Yet, unsettling voices soon replaced that comfort. Elk Park Cemetery felt different. It seemed small and neglected. As we wandered, Benji warned me not to panic about the stones. Out of 10 markers, only 6 remained. I felt an overwhelming dread and imagined eyes watching us. I angrily commented that Zoe should never have taken a stone. Benji dismissed it, but I felt furious. I suspected Renee might have taken a stone too. Emotions surged within me, making me feel surrounded by unseen creatures. Ty pointed out we didn't know if Renee had taken a stone yet. Deciding to call Missy about the missing stones, I learned she already knew. Zoe, Renee, and Missy had taken stones one night after drinking together to comfort Renee during a fight. What started as a fun moment became serious when Missy realized the danger they were in after a tragic event took lives. She felt terrified and sensed a threat, expressing a strong feeling of anxiety. The next day, they planned to return the stolen stones. Missy kept apologizing, but the narrator realized she had never truly believed in them. All this time, Missy and Ty had doubts, even though they all witnessed something horrifying together. The following morning, Ty brought donuts, but the narrator felt different about their favorite. As they picked up Missy, she was quiet and anxious, reflecting on a reckless night that involved taking the stones. When Ty asked about ghosts, silence followed, indicating Missy's fear of facing the possible consequences of their actions. She remembered how one stone had gone missing during a drunken escapade. As they approached the cemetery, Missy noticed only 4 stones remained, invoking a panic that Ty and the narrator tried to ease. They speculated that someone else knew about the stones, possibly linking it back to past seniors. They found out that Eden had been murdered, and her letter shed light on her troubled relationships with Zoe and Renee after the theft. Eden had gone alone to confront her fears and experienced a sense of being watched afterward. Her letter suggested that guilt was consuming her. Missy, scared, preferred not to be alone, so they stayed at Ty's house, although sleep was elusive. The narrator remembered a dare from junior year that led to their current predicament. Memories of the past, the teasing, and their high school experiences flooded back, adding to the tension surrounding the stolen stones. On a foggy night, a group including Marcia, Denny, Bolton, and others went to a graveyard, claiming they would keep watch but actually wanting to make sure we couldn't leave. Bolton promised to check on us but never did, leaving us trapped until sunrise. Missy reminded everyone to keep their flashlights since we weren't allowed in Elk Park Cemetery at night. After Denny broke a flashlight, the seniors left, and we ventured deeper into the cemetery. Missy and Benji began reading names on grave markers, while Ty played with a yo-yo and Eden rested on Zoe's lap. Tension rose as Eden and Zoe became upset over something Renee said, and they separated to discuss it. Benji tried to scare the girls but ended up startling Zoe and Renee. In a quiet moment, I felt a connection with Ty but kept my feelings hidden. A sudden scream interrupted the quiet, and we rushed back to where we discovered mysterious rocks buried under mud. As we examined strange yellow markings on gravestones, Zoe and Eden questioned what they were seeing, considering whether the stones were markers for forgotten graves. Meanwhile, a chilling atmosphere filled the air as Renee dared Benji to touch one of the stones, teasing him in a way that changed the mood, while I warned against digging. Renee, seeming distant, spat on one of the stones, causing shock among us. Then, as a storm approached, lightning revealed ghostly figures surrounding us, which terrified everyone. The spirits, resembling lost souls, vanished with the storm, leaving us unsettled. As dawn broke, we never spoke of that night again, and by summer, the event morphed into rumors and speculation within school. When Missy was later found dead, we faced the reality of death alongside the memories of that night. At the scene, remnants of a gruesome event laid bare, confirming our worst fears. Ty and I struggled with our feelings as the police began to interrogate us regarding the past events connected to Missy's death. As we continued to mourn our lost friends, uncertainty loomed over our group as we sought answers amidst rising tensions and memories of the graveyard. Ty offered me a place to stay, and I almost declined. In his car, we shared a quiet moment and I saw the pain in his eyes. I agreed to stay if he wanted me to, and we both cried together. We shared our grief over lost friends and recalled good and bad memories, including preparations for dances and choosing ice cream, which made those small moments unforgettable. As dawn approached, Ty offered me a place to sleep, which I accepted. Before entering, he looked deep into my eyes and told me he always believed me. He meant Terrence believed me. Ty wasn't sure about ghosts but accepted what I saw was real. He wanted me to know he believed and cared and didn't want to lose me again. We spent the morning together, but I hesitated to share my feelings due to our losses. Later, Ty cooked breakfast while I struggled with thoughts of loss. We discussed our next steps, including replacing the gravestones and whether to tell the police about Eden's letter. We decided that it would only make things worse. Benji called us, frantic and drunk after a strange experience at the cemetery. He heard voices urging him to take gravestones, and now dark feelings haunted him. Ty tried to calm him while we stayed the night. Eventually, Benji threw one of the stones into the pond, creating chaos that caused fear but also strengthened our bond. The room felt packed, like a crowd of a million. When the lights flickered on, memories flooded back. Undead figures surrounded us, their decayed bodies a chilling sight. Then, just like that, they vanished. A distinct choking noise echoed from the hallway, sharp against our heavy breathing. Suddenly, the sound intensified, then stopped. A heavy thud resonated, followed by shuffling and raspy breaths creeping from the shadows. We caught a glimpse before darkness swallowed the room again. The creature bore the faces of our friends, stitched together in grotesque fashion. It slithered toward us, a horrific mockery of humanity. Benji hurled a stone at its mangled visage, and we bolted for the door. The thing roared, a monstrous sound trailing us. As we sprinted to Ty's car, I saw it. It moved like a reptile, all jagged bones and stolen flesh, a dark mass of twisted hair and decayed eyes. It was a nightmare, longing for something it could never be. As Ty sped away, I caught its gaze under a streetlight. Those eyes were once Zoe's. A chilling scream pierced the night. Benji was right. Something was drawing us back. The car ride to the cemetery was silent, just the engine's hum and the flickering street lamps. Ty drove fast, urgency in every turn. That creature was pure evil, wearing our friends like a grotesque costume. I couldn't shake the images of what it had done. Eden, Missy, Renee. Each moment replayed in my mind. The memory of its rotting form haunted me. We dashed into the woods, the chill of the wind wrapping around us. Ty reassured Benji, promising safety. We felt the need to call the police. It seemed like the right choice. In a forgotten graveyard, Ty made a call for help. Suddenly, the forest felt alive. A thick fog surrounded us, obscuring the gravestones. Benji panicked, and I tried to calm him, but it only escalated. Ty lost the connection. He tried again, only to hear static, almost like laughter. Frustrated, he called out for the police while Benji screamed into the darkness, desperate for whatever was hunting us to go away. Tears streamed down Benji's face. He couldn't ignore the reality of our situation any longer. Then, we noticed small, unsettling eyes watching us, darting around before disappearing. A chilling cry echoed from the cemetery. We had no clear plan. Benji wanted to flee, but driving away wasn't the answer. We realized we had to fight. As the creature drew near, Ty suggested we replace the missing gravestones with rocks we could find. We scrambled to fill the gaps. Just as we finished, the creature emerged in the moonlight. It was grotesque, crawling towards us, a nightmarish blend of human and beast. It used familiar voices to taunt us, sounding eerily like our friends. In a moment of bravery, Ty stepped in front of us. But the creature lunged, moving so fast it was a blur. It targeted Ty, knocking him aside as if he were nothing more than a toy. We were left to face the horror that had come for us. The creature grabbed Benji by the ankles. I stumbled, my elbow crashing into a gravestone. It wrapped its tongue around Benji's torso, holding him with a twisted hand. The thing could reshape its stolen skin, bending its bones as it pleased. Just as it opened its jaw to bite Benji, I had a thought. I quickly found a stone and with all my might, I struck the creature's head. A foul liquid oozed out from the blow. I hit it again and again until Benji pulled me away. He was okay, but he wanted to leave. Ty and I helped him walk to the front of the cemetery. There, we were met by the police we had called. They witnessed the monster, Chaos erupted, but it eventually settled. A larger team arrived, dressed in jade suits. We never learned what that thing was. Officially, it was labeled a series of unrelated accidents. No killer or ghost. The cases remain open, but Glenwood returned to its quiet state, surrounded by woods and secrets. Terrence, Benji, and I promised to keep quiet, and a generous settlement made that easier. They covered our friend's funeral costs too. I don't know if it was the government, but they cleaned up quickly, even removing the gravestones. Elk Park Cemetery became just another spooky spot for kids to dare each other. No one remembered the stones or the creature that guarded them. Writing this has helped me clear my mind. I still dream of that time and place. Ty and I only returned to Glenwood to visit our friends at Sunnyside Cemetery. Benji left town with his parents after the settlement. Last I heard, they moved to Canada. At night, the man in the corner vanished from my thoughts. He used to watch me sleep. Was he a sinister spirit or a protector? After we defeated that entity and I left Glenwood, I felt relief, at least for a moment. Deep down, I sensed they would return. The Watcher and the Guardian of the Stones. 9 months later, the news came. Benji had died. That morning shattered me. I often wonder if I ever truly woke up. I write to make sense of it all. While cleaning the kitchen one day, I heard a knock. The dogs barked, sensing trouble. I opened the door to a tearful girl holding a gravestone, the same eerie one from before. It belonged to Benji's cousin. She explained he had died and left this behind with a note for Ty and me. I almost closed the door but chose to let her in. She placed the stone on the counter and collapsed. Through her tears, she shared how she found Benji's remains. It was horrifying. Just bones and bits left behind. I wanted her to stop, but she pressed on. Then came the letter. Benji's messy handwriting revealed his struggles with the stone. It kept returning no matter how he tried to get rid of it. He even attempted to smash it. Afterward, silence engulfed him. In that emptiness, he heard the creature drawing closer, seeking answers. Benji didn't want to be forgotten. He wanted us to uncover the truth behind his death. Terrence and I wouldn't let that happen. We resolved to return to Glenwood and seek the answers he deserved. We just arrived, and the weight of dread is back. I'll document everything, hoping someone will find clarity one day. Right now, there's no dreaming, only memories of lost loved ones and gravestones that linger in my mind. In the corner, a man, unseen by others, watches me. He whispers to himself, and I can almost catch his words. This moment reflects the struggle with loss and the quest for understanding. Writing becomes a lifeline, a way to process pain. Even in despair, there's a glimmer of hope that clarity will emerge from chaos.